Welcome back to the Power of Manifestation. My name is Andrea Miller, and I am so excited to host this session. Honestly, if this is the only one you watch and you are dealing with any form of chronic pain or persistent conditions, this one is for you. This session today is called Breaking Free, using mind-body medicine to transform chronic pain and persistent conditions. We're joined by the extraordinary Nicole Sachs, psychotherapist, author, and founder of the JournalSpeak method. Nicole was diagnosed as a teen with a degenerative spinal condition and told her future would be one of chronic pain, limitations, and even infertility. Instead, she discovered the work of Dr. John Sarno. She healed herself through mind-body medicine and went on to become his colleague at NYU. Nicole is now the host of the Cure for Chronic Pain podcast, the author of the incredible book, Mind Your Body, and the creator of JournalSpeak, a revolutionary daily practice that has helped hundreds of thousands heal from conditions that Western medicine alone could not solve. So I hope I have everybody's attention, because this is big, you guys. All right. Welcome, Nicole. I'm so excited to talk to you again. Thanks for being in the Power of Manifestation.
Thank you. That was a great intro. You covered a lot of it.
Well, listen, I really wanted to set the big picture stage, but your story is so powerful. I would love for you to take a few minutes. I mean, bring us back when you were flat on your back. You could barely ride in a car. I mean, you were condemned. You were literally condemned, and you accepted that I mean, to be fair, you accepted that condemnation, and then something big happened. So, if you don't mind, just take a few minutes to walk through this and tell your story, and then we can talk about sort of what it led to in your life.
Right. Okay. Well, when I was 19 years old, I was at college, first time away from home, and my back went out. So this is an example that people hear all the time, my back went out. And for me, it meant, searing lower back pain and not able to essentially get off the floor. And so my parents had to come to college and quite literally carry me home. And I underwent, as any responsible parents would do, all of the tests. I had x-rays and MRIs and orthopedic surgery consults. And it turns out that I have a very severe, on film, abnormality in my lower spine. And the name of it's a mouthful, degenerative spondylolisthesis. And so essentially, when they saw that abnormality on my film, they thought, this is the reason for your pain. And so this was the prognosis. No more sports, no more travel, no more exercise, no more lifting anything bigger than 10 pounds, no more riding in the car for more than an hour because it could destabilize my back. And the likelihood that I would have a biological child was slim to none, because the concept of 9 months of the, baby putting pressure on my back felt like it would be maybe too risky, too dangerous, could leave me in a wheelchair. So this was a very, very dark prognosis at the age of 19. And as you said, I had no choice other than to accept it. The proof was right there, glowing on the x-ray sitting next to me, that there was this problem and I was experiencing the pain of it. So, as a 19-year-old, there's only so much you can take in, but I changed my life. I got a handicap sticker for my car, so I was driving to classes. I was on enough steroids and muscle relaxers to bring me from acute pain to chronic pain. So it wasn't that I couldn't walk. It was that I was the girl with the bad back. Everyone had to do everything for me. It was a very fear-driven lifestyle. I took the not having biological children part and kind of put it on the side burner, because I was like, I am not capable of thinking about something that huge right now. And I went on with my life. And, they were telling me that spinal fusion surgery was an option, but to their credit, they were not recommending it. They said, you're 19, you're otherwise healthy. Just try to live with it. Just try to live with it. This is going to be forever for you, so do your best. And there was just a part of me, and I think probably a lot of people who are your listeners will relate to, where I wasn't rejecting the diagnosis and I wasn't defiant. There was just a little inkling in me, like maybe there's more, maybe that there's something else to understand about my body. And I didn't really know at that time what that could possibly be. And as I was moving through my education, and now I was in graduate school studying to be a psychotherapist, I came upon the work of Dr. John Sarno. As you mentioned, he is the grandfather of mind-body medicine. He was, for 50 years, an attending at the Rusk Center for Rehabilitation at NYU Medical Center. And he had written several best-selling books, one of which was called Healing Back Pain. And so I looked into the book, and all I can tell you at the time, and I was very young, was this is how it translated to me. We live in a mind-body system. Sometimes we feel things in our emotions, sometimes we feel things in our bodies, and they're literally interchangeable. So like, that's why people say I could be stressed out and have a headache. That's why people say I could get bad news and lose my appetite. So like, I got it. I understood that this was not new and this was not controversial. This was literally, yeah, duh. I knew that I could be stressed out and get a headache. So might this possibly apply to my back? And the thing is that it's very challenging to cross that Rubicon because my x-ray is glowing on the screen. I'm damaged. I have a problem. That's the reason for my pain. So that was a bridge that I had to cross. And I did so by educating myself on what indeed Dr. Sarno was teaching. Now, as my life went on, I started as his patient. I became his colleague. And then as he was my mentor, and when he passed away, when he was in the last stages of his life, he literally said to me, take the baton, Nicole, and bring this to the world. And it was very emotional, and I take it very seriously because he has saved and changed millions of lives worldwide. And I know now I am as well. So essentially...
Nicole, can I just interject real quick here? Just knowing you and Dr. Sarno's impact, I wanted to share a quote that I found from none other than Howard Stern, who said, "My life was filled with excruciating back and shoulder pain until I applied Dr. Sarno's principles. In a matter of weeks, my back pain disappeared. I never suffered a single symptom again. I owe Dr. Sarno my life."
I had something called frozen shoulder. I couldn't raise my hand higher than this. I was in such pain. And of course, after I saw Dr. Sarno in a period of time, it was completely gone. There was no issue of doing this. I said, oh my God, these guys, these ghouls would have cut me up, and they don't mean any harm by it. They think they're helping you. The fact that the medical community is resisting this is insanity. If mainstream medicine took Dr. Sarno seriously, it would open up research.
He said, no herniated disc, there's nothing wrong with you. And all of a sudden, I could feel my whole body kind of straightening out. I'm hearing cracks in my neck. All of a sudden, the pain is gone. It was the closest thing that I've ever had in my life to a religious experience, and I wept.
So Nicole, I just want to commend you, like in every fiber of my being, that he handed the baton to you. It is so big. And spoiler alert, guys, just before we started the interview, Nicole and I were talking about her amazing kids who are in like the greatest universities in the world. Not only did she have kids, spoiler alert, she has amazing kids. She did not accept the condemnation of how she could probably not have children, be stuck in a very limited lifestyle. And I got to tell you, this is bananas. And this wasn't part of the interview plan. No, literally right now I'm tingling all over. My 15-year-old son started at IMG a couple of weeks ago. IMG, it's a prestigious sports academy, and going to a boarding school was never on the plan. He came home 4 days ago with a terrible back pain. He had an x-ray yesterday. I'm sure you'll be familiar with this. He has what is called pars defect, which is, it's basically I don't know how you pronounce it, spondylolisthesis.
Spondylolisthesis, yes.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm sitting here freaking out in real time remembering your story and thinking about how you said, I went to college and this spontaneously occurred, and you could see it on the X-ray. Same thing for my son, only he's only 15. And so my mind is blown right now, because it's like his whatever in his life is manifesting through his fear of going to boarding school. It feels like that could be a connection.
100%. So let me just tell you that this is important for me to say at this moment in people understanding. The pain is not in your head. You are not making it up. You're not hysterical. You're not oversensitive, and you are not at fault. Your X-ray potentially, or your gut microbiome analysis, or your, the mold they find in your system, they're not fake. The difference that is the huge lens through which you need to see through to have this work be effective is that those things are normal abnormalities. That we all have mold. We all have, oftentimes vestiges of Lyme's disease that we had once that was either treated or untreated. Many of us have disc bulges and spondylolisthesis and arthritis in a shoulder. And we take that finding and we connect to it, and we allow that to dysregulate our nervous systems. It's not our fault enough to allow the symptoms to keep firing. And we'll get into the brain science of it, because this is not conjecture. This is not therapy talk. This is not new age. And this is not woo-woo. This is literally the neuroscience of why we feel anything. All pain, all sensation is generated in the brain. This is not anything different than any Western medicine. The difference is Western medicine looks at the place in the body that's afflicted and uses that place to try to solve the problem, which almost never works. And we can get into that. MindBody medicine looks at why is the nervous system in a dysregulated chronic fight or flight state continuing to confusedly and mistakenly send signals of pain, neuropathy, inflammation, muscle constriction, spasm, etc. So these things are happening. Your son can't walk. I couldn't walk. The people who are suffering from chronic Lyme, or they think, chronic mold, or the frozen shoulder, and they think it's the arthritis, these people are experiencing these things because pain is experienced through the human body, and it is capital R real. But the question when it comes to really wanting to change your life profoundly is if you could replace your either fear or skepticism with curiosity and say, why? Why are the pain signals firing? The pain is real, and oftentimes the normal abnormality is real, meaning I have spondylolisthesis, your son has whatever it is he's being diagnosed with. We've probably each had it since birth. There's pretty much no way that the way my spine is abnormal, which is severe. You can feel it. It's like a party trick. You can put your hand down my spine. You can feel where I have two vertebrae that are sitting atop one another. It bumps out. You can feel the dip where I have a vertebrae that's shattered and replaced with scar tissue. I have a gnarly MRI that makes the surgeons go pale because they don't know how to look me in the eye because of how scared they are for my pain. I have no pain for 25 years. It was never attached to this abnormality. It's just probably how I've always been shaped, but it's so logical and so tempting to connect that to the pain. So that's where I serve as an invitation and maybe a disruptor to say, you have so much more power than you realize to affect your physical and emotional health, both as a parent of a child who's going through this or a person yourself. And so just give yourself the gift of being curious, because it is astounding what happens. And as you said, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people, because you have to think about my book, my podcast, my online offerings. I don't meet almost any of these people. I get their emails though. And the changes in their lives are so dramatic and so astonishing because this is brain science. When the brain no longer thinks there's something to protect you from, which we can talk about, the pain signals stop firing.
So I'd love to, if we can, section 1, the mind-body connection. So I'm going to tee it up like this. Chronic pain, just essentially adding to what you're saying, chronic pain and persistent conditions are often not caused by the structural damage, but the brain's protective mechanism. Repressed emotions and trauma overflow the nervous system and show up as real physical symptoms. Like you said, the pain is real, the symptoms are real, but they get expressed as pain and discomfort because of the repressed emotions and trauma. So I'd love to back up a little bit and just have you define what is the mind-body connection and why does it matter in healing these kind of chronic conditions and pain?
So the first thing I'll say, and I kind of started there, which is the pain is not in your head, but the solution is not in your body. So the most important thing that everybody gets when they walk through this door is what I'm teaching you straight up, you already believe. I could lecture to a room of 1,000 people and I could say, raise your hand if you've ever had a stressful day and gotten a headache. Every hand will go up. Everyone has been overwhelmed or, had too much on their plate and they feel that headache. I'll say, raise your hand if you ever, got bad news or going through a hard time and it affected your appetite. Everybody raises their hand. I said, okay, well, you got that headache. Did you go to the ER that night for a CT scan because you thought you had a brain tumor, a structural reason for the headache? And people laugh and they put their hands down. And, even the most basic example, Andrea, which is what happens when we're really moved or really sad. Physical water falls out of your face. The very notion that there isn't a mind-body connection occurs to nobody. We cry, not because, sometimes because someone hits us with, something hard and it hurts us. Most of the time, we cry because we are moved or we are sad. That is how the human body very physically responds to that emotion. So nothing I'm teaching you is new, but you have to remember this when we talk about chronic pain, because chronic pain or chronic symptoms of any kind are an epidemic of fear. Thank you for bringing up your son. Perfect example. The child is obviously a talented athlete. He is out there with the pressure and the expectations and whatever it feels like for his personal self to be out there. And his nervous system went up to here, and for whatever reason, it reached maximum capacity. And your nervous system does not ask your permission or your opinion before it protects you. This is very important. You put your hand on a hot stove and you are not considering for the next 30 seconds whether it's too hot to keep your hand there. It's off. It's off in the blink of an eye because your brain and your nervous system have kept the human race thriving for all these years because it reacts before you can think. So, same thing. Your son's at school. He's having all of these experiences. Maybe he's his own worst critic, where we all are. And it reaches capacity and his nervous system perceives a danger. Now, why are repressed emotions that are arising a danger? This is, once again, back to neuroscience. The human brain seeks predictability. It seeks what it can solve for. This is, once again, why we're still a thriving species, because we are innovative in a way that we don't always even know how and why we are. So because it can't solve for, I don't know how to feel about my expectations of success, because it can't solve for, quote, my relationship with my mother and all of those complexities, or my relationship with my child, or my fear of financial insecurity. There is no solve for this amorphous human experience of being alive. So the brain will look to protect us from that predator, and it picks something it can solve for. So if your back goes out, there is an understanding, even unconsciously, that you're going to get help, that you're going to be overridden, meaning somebody, a doctor, a parent, somebody is going to have to remove you from the situation that is causing you distress, and that you will be safe. And I like to call this safe in the unsafest way, because your son doesn't want to be home. He wants to be out there doing his thing, but nor does the person who's suffering from chronic migraine want to be in their bedroom with the curtains drawn. But because they haven't yet understood that they have a path and a toolkit to safely go into these confusing, amorphous places and solve for them simply by feeling them, It is safer in the bedroom because it's away from all the triggers of the world that cause that perception of unsafety. So it's actually beautiful and perfect, and it's ruining so many people's lives. And so I serve as sort of the guide, the sentinel, the hope merchant. I'm here to say there's a solution. So many people are sitting around identifying the problem. Many. Big book came out. I'm not going to mention names this week. But we are talking about living in the solution that every single person can access.
Amen, sister. And I want to add a couple things. One is that what we're talking about, and we'll start getting into your solutions now, but to me, the gold here is reframing these symptoms, not as defects, but as information that is enabling us to heal what really needs to be healed. And it's like in my son's case, this what's showing up as on the MRI is the symptom. And I also just want to come back to a couple other quick things. What you said so humbly, it's not new, but I also want to add, it's not theory. It's not theory, you guys, because you can listen to Nicole, you can read her books, you can listen to her beautiful podcast, but if you don't go through what she is prescribing that has worked, I mean, from Sarno's example, you've got a prescription, which we're going to get into. Guys, it's not theory. And if you just listen and nod your head and feel hopeful, but don't do the work, you're not going to get the results. And I say that as somebody who is producing this whole thing because I want you to live as freely and joyfully and without pain as I do for myself and my own son. And that's why I was really excited, Nicole, for you to be here. So before we go into section 2, Nicole's healing prescription, guys, I just want you to think for a minute what Nicole's been saying. Times when you've had a stomach ache, when your body has felt under stress, when you've had a headache, just take a moment. And Nicole always talks about being curious and how we all have so much more power than we realize. I just want you to reflect on your own life and just be open to it. When did you feel that like, oh yeah, like this thing was happening and I was stressed and here's how I felt in my body? Because I would posit, and I think Nicole, you would too, I know you would, that once people start being more curious and more open to how these solutions are available to them, that's where the magic begins. Right? It's not out there. It is in here. It is in each of you. And I just want to open the door, just a little pinch for you to go, yeah, you're right. And the other quick thing before we go, and I have to say it. I've been, even before this thing happened to my son, I've been talking to him about visualization, meditation. And as a elite athlete, I say, what is Ronaldo? What is Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Novak Djokovic, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. What do they all have in common? Using the power of their hearts and minds to achieve the extraordinary. And he said to me once, he said something like, well, if it worked, why isn't everybody doing it? And I'm like, exactly. Not everybody does it. And that is the disconnect.
Well, exactly. There are two things I want to say on the topic. The first is just specifically toward the athletes. So I've been working with professional athletes for the last few years, and one of whom is very, very public about our work together. And please direct your son to our interview. His name is Michael Porter Jr. He was the center for the Denver Nuggets. He just got traded. He's now on the New York Nets, I believe. I think just starting this season. He was 15 when he was he was 7 feet tall by the time he was 15. He was like big boy, and he was he was the number one player in the world at the time. So imagine the pressure.
Wow.
We talk about an elite athlete.
15. Oh my God.
And his back went out. And I'm not going to go through the whole story, but Michael had 3 back surgeries. He was diagnosed with progressive disc disease, degenerative disc disease. He was terrified. He was told by doctors and physical therapists he needed surgeries. He missed so many games every season. He had 3 different surgeries. 2 summers ago, he found me. He had already had the 3rd surgery, and he was like, I don't know if I can still play in the NBA. He's like, I can't get more surgeries, and I'm still in terrible pain. The first time I ever met Michael, he couldn't get up off the couch to say hello to me. which is kind of hilarious when you see a 7-foot person on a couch. They take up the entire thing. And he and I did the work. He understood the science. He did the work that we're about to talk about, living in the solution. And for the next 2 seasons, he did not miss a game. He actually is so proud to say he's the only member of his team that first season in, he didn't miss a game. He regularly scores, upwards of 20 points a game. He is not only pain-free, completely pain-free. I was just interviewed. He has a podcast. I was just interviewed for the second time on that one a couple weeks ago. It'll be coming out. So the point is, this is real. He has real MRIs. He has extreme disc disease. He has no pain. And so I'm so thrilled for your son that these are examples that live out in the world where he can see that and not have to go through what Michael went through. So anyway.
I mean, I just want to give you like literal standing ovation, because it's extraordinary what is possible when you are fortunate enough to intercept the solution, like you are, like you say, living in the solution and then actually doing the work. I mean, honestly, and it feels so providential because you and I were supposed to speak 3 weeks ago and that didn't happen. And the fact that we are speaking today, guys, this is an event on manifestation. Like, it is like freaky deaky to me right now. This synchronicity, like, as much as I believe it, I'm like, whoa, this is a synchronicity.
True. It's
holy
true.
smokes. Yeah.
And I want to say, to your other point, when you said this is not theory, like it has to be lived, here is why. And once again, back to neuroscience. When your brain and your nervous system perceive a threat, they will send the signals to protect you. So for example, you're being chased by a predator. We all know this. Fight, flight, freeze. You will run faster, jump higher, freeze more quietly. Your systems that are not necessary in those moments will shut down. Digestion, elimination, your circulation will go up. Your respiration will be more full, like your lungs will get more full. This is basic, neuroscience. What happens though is that when the predator goes, when you are safely in, a place where you've locked the door and you're safe, that's the only time your nervous system can then begin to regulate. You cannot will your nervous system to regulate. If you perceive that predator is still coming, all those systems are going to do the same thing, all of those changes. A lot of people come into this work with digestive issues, IBS, all SIBO, which they think is a result of a bacteria, which, once they do this work, they realize, oh, SIBO must be a normal abnormality.
Hang on, what's SIBO?
SIBO. It's small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, but it's just, I'm not dismissing it. I'm very careful to say I'm not diminishing your diagnosis. I'm sure if you are diagnosed with SIBO through your functional medicine doctor, that it's ruining your life. Just like my back pain was ruining mine. It's not that it's not real. It's that I have seen so many thousands of people who had SIBO eat whatever they want and be completely symptom-free because it was always the brain science behind why the inflammation and the signals were being set. Because there was a predator afoot, and it just so happened that for whatever reasons, your brain and your nervous system chose the stomach versus the back versus the head. It is somewhat immaterial where your symptoms are showing up. The only reason it isn't immaterial is for a kid like your son or for me. This is a place where people need to have reverence for the human brain. Even at Harvard, Mayo, Hopkins, wherever you want to choose, they only understand a certain percentage of the human brain, 6, 7, 8%. I don't know where we're at in 2025. We don't know exactly why the brain is so brilliant that it can scan my system, know that I do have a normal abnormality in my back, and then send the pain signals there because it works, because it stopped me in my tracks and all of my pain and all of the things, and I mean emotional pain and conflict and things that it couldn't solve for were wiped away because I had to attend to myself. This is where you are safe in the unsafest way. So you just have to understand that a lot of the people that come through this work are coming through because they're in a heightened, chronic fight or flight state. It is constricting their muzzles because it doesn't think the predator has left. It is reducing their ability to digest because who needs to eat or go to the bathroom when you're running for your life? Like, it's physically changing our systems because it thinks we need protection. So the work that we're about to talk about that I teach is a path, is a vehicle to go from where you're at, which is constricted, inflamed, where your nerves are misfiring and you're experiencing pain and neuropathy and numbness and weakness and all these things that come through my door, and say, yes, that is manifesting in me. I am normal. I am human. My nervous system's operating perfectly. Chef's kiss. It is doing what needs to be done to protect me. Now I understand what's going on. I can say, okay, where's the predator? And that's where we bring ourselves to JournalSpeak.
My body has an innate healing power within it. I know that my pain is here to teach me.
Well, amen. So section 2, Nicole's healing prescription. Guys, it's time to answer the call, right? So, Nicole, you've got a 3-part prescription to healing. Will you walk us through it all?
So think about 3 legs of a stool, and think about the fact that if you have a 3-legged stool, without one of the legs, any one of them, the stool is not going to stand. So the 3 legs of my stool, the 3 facets of my work are believe, do the work, and patience and kindness for yourself. Don't dismiss the third. They're all important, and I'll tell you why. The first, believe. We've just been talking about it for a half hour. It is immerse yourself in the neuroscience. My book, the whole first third of it is a teaching on this. I have a lot of resources. I'm sure you're going to point people toward all my website, my resources, where you can actually delve deep and learn about this. The reason that belief is a leg of the stool is because your perception is your reality. Straight up. If you are walking down the street and you see a shadow behind a bush and you decide it's a predator, your entire system is going to do what I just described. When you get to that point in the road and you look and you see that it's a bush, yes, eventually you are going to regulate. It's not going to happen right away because you kind of are like, oh God, that was scary, but you'll regulate. But what is required for regulation? Removal of the predator, removal of your perception that you are in danger. So when you learn about the science, Dr. Sarno used to say, my prescription is knowledge. When you learn about the science, when you educate yourself, that's when you start to say, you might not be able to regulate just from knowing, but you say, okay, I was mistaken. My symptoms are totally real, but I was mistaken as to how to fix them. I thought if I cut into my body, I thought if I change my diet, I thought if I take this pill, and I'm not against Western medicine, by the way. I love a good pill if a pill is going to solve the problem. When my kids have strep throat, I run to the doctor for an antibiotic. I do not want to fix what isn't broken. But what is largely broken is the Western medical model being able to treat chronic disease of many, many kinds, because they are either stress-induced or they are induced through this repression of emotion model. And so my problem is not with the pill. My problem is not with the treatment. My problem is with the pills and the treatments that are not solving the problem. And I don't mean managing the problem. And I don't mean making the problem so you can tolerate your life. I mean a life of absolute freedom, where you can do anything. I mean a life where I was told I wouldn't have children, and I had 3 children. I exercised till the day they were born, and I can run 5 miles on the beach barefoot. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what is for you. And so the first leg of the stool is belief, because you need to understand what's going on, what has always been going on in your brain, your nervous system, and your body. Second leg is do the work. So I want you to picture that each of us, every single human being, has an imagined emotional reservoir that lives inside of us, maybe from your belly button to your chest. And it's like a clear science beaker. And it has this liquid in it. We're going to call it liquid just for your visualization. And that is the capacity the human being has to deal with the hardest of human emotions: rage, shame, grief, terror, and despair. So we are not talking about I'm bummed out. We're talking about I am paralyzed with grief. We are not talking about I'm pissed off. We're talking about I'm enraged. The human animal and society does not feel safe feeling these symptoms, and it's obvious. Neither men nor women are safe being enraged. Men will be seen as scary and dangerous, like they have anger issues, and women will be seen as shrill and annoying, and I don't want it. Like, we are not raised to believe that we have a right to feel these feelings. And that's fair. And that's fine. We can't all walk around screaming at each other. So I created a tool, and I created it through my own darkest moment, which I describe in the book, and you can probably hear me interviewed many places. And it's a tool called JournalSpeak. Now, it is not regular journaling, and don't dismiss it as light because it's something you've been hearing about your whole life, because it's way different. So essentially, this reservoir is overflowing. And every time it overflows, it knocks on the door of consciousness, and it threatens to inform you of exactly how enraged you are, exactly how despairing you are, exactly how ashamed you are. And when it does, the perception of the human brain is, and I know this sounds dramatic, but I swear to God it's happening, you can't survive this. You cannot survive to feel the depth of your grief from that loss. You cannot survive to feel the depth of your rage because society will shun you. And through the lens of evolutionary biology, you have to understand this is real. We are a species that was founded on being a social species. We can't live without the tribe. So if you perceive that your feelings will alienate you from the collective, your brain is going to protect you from those feelings by pushing them down. Once again, normal human functioning. However, when they overflow and they threaten to go up into the consciousness, your brain will say, we can't survive that. Goes into fight or flight, and now it starts searching the landscape of your body. Where is it going to protect you? Where is it going to hobble you so you can't be out in the world where that big feeling is going to end your life? Well, a migraine isn't fun, but it keeps you away. Back pain isn't fun, but you go home from boarding school and all those expectations you put on yourself, they're on pause. This is happening in every single person. What JournalSpeak does as a practice, and like I said, there's never time or possibility to explain it in depth in an interview, but there are resources. I have so many of them. There are courses. I have communities where we do this together. I just met with them this morning. It was amazing, answering their questions, watching them light up. It is really available for you. But what JournalSpeak is, it's an expressive writing tool that puts a ladle in your reservoir and dumps it out. And little by slowly, as you do this, and there's no time frame. Yes, Howard Stern says within a few weeks. That's lovely, and that does happen. But don't hold that as a standard, because your nervous system is going to regulate when it's ready. And what I do in my communities is I hold space so you're not afraid and you don't judge yourself for no matter how long it's taking. Because the slower you go, the quicker you get there. When you start relaxing into it, it actually starts happening really, really quickly. But,
I love that so much. Go slow to go fast, people. Trust the process, right?
We're not trained. Look at me. You can even see the intensity with which I'm speaking. I'm not a slow person. I'm a straight up New Yorker. I am running for it. And we have to retrain ourselves that this process is a paradigm shift. It's a way of looking at ourselves. And it brings us to the third leg of the stool, with self-compassion. I had no idea what self-compassion was.
And hang on, Nicole, I just want to interject real quick, because the third section of our interview today is going to be going more into JournalSpeak. So I just want you guys to go, what else do I need to do? We are going to get more into it, and I'll talk about at the end all the different ways that you can go deeper. And where's my copy of, oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. Nicole's beautiful book, Mind Your Body. So yes, you are getting a wonderful taste, and you'll have the basics to do JournalSpeak. You will all have the basics. Believe, do the work, be kind to yourself. And that may be enough for you. For those of you who really do want to go deeper, I'll be talking at the end about all those different ways that you can work with Nicole. So, okay. So number 3, be kind and patient with yourself. Keep going.
It's basically just like, if you do this work without a self-compassion practice, it's like bailing out a boat with a hole in the bottom. You know, like every time you do some work to release something that you've been holding back, well, you're just beating yourself up all day. My God, well, you're an idiot. You did that again. And you don't even realize it. It's so unconscious. And so, I mean, one of the things I teach at my retreats is truly to pause and to feel into the difference between the way we treat the people we love deeply and the way we treat ourselves, both in thought and in words. And so the third leg of the stool is to pay attention to the way you treat yourself, to the standards with which you feel are the, absolute for success, and that you will be very self-critical, where most of us are our own worst critics. So the third leg of the stool is just basically waking people up to the way they've already been treating themselves kind of their whole lives, and telling them it doesn't work here. It does not work to continue to abuse yourself the way others have abused you, because you are putting as much in the reservoir as you're taking out. And I don't want you to feel like you're spinning your wheels. So those are the 3 legs. And, that's the base. That really is the basics of it. I mean, we're really hitting the high points, and I'm more than happy to share, Andrea, anything you want to, make people feel like they've understood more deeply.
Well, let me just, interject a couple of quick things, guys. You all should have your Power of Manifestation handbook so you can take notes. And we've got the highlights written in here. If you don't have it, you can grab it at powerofmanifestation.com. Like I said before, it's a great theory, but if you really want to transform your life, heal your chronic conditions, free yourself from the pain, it is about those 3 steps. And and it can be that easy. Like, to me, that is the exciting thing. So let's get into section 3, JournalSpeak in action. Will you walk us through the method? I know it's like you say, it's not just journaling. It is specific. It is structured. How do we do it?
So when I first met with Dr. Sarno, when I was in my lowest point, he explained that one of the ways to get into this repressed emotional world is to journal, which makes sense, because anyone who has journaled, if you slow yourself down to have to write something or type something out, you are slowing down your thoughts, and you're going to realize things, or at least you're going to not be able to hide from things that might go immediately, like, lightning speed through your brain if you were just thinking about them. So I understood it in theory, but I actually was very dismissive. So if anybody is hearing this and they're like, oh, right, okay, Nicole, I'm like in bed where I can't walk, or I have 12 migraines a month, like, I'm going to journal. Like, okay, you're in good company, and the company is me. I was like, this is dumb. And I was desperate enough to try it, because desperation is a fantastic place to be if you want to change your life, to be honest. But I did really feel that it was like, okay, like I was giving him the side eye. But Dr. Sarno, and this is one of the more beautiful conversations we had toward the end of his life, I was so young. I was in my early 30s when I got this, maybe late 20s, early 30s. And so because of that, he saw me as this great hope, because I had so many more years to live. And he was in his late 80s, early 90s. He knew he was going to die. And he used to say to me, Nicole, you explain it so much better than I do, because he is a medical doctor, and he's amazing, by the way. He's amazing. And I truly feel him with me all the time, just pushing me like, go, go, go. Like, you've got this. Like, it's a beautiful feeling. But there's one thing about the fact that he's a doctor. So I have all of his, medical acumen and the acknowledgement of the fact that he studied for years and he was a doctor, attending physician for years. And then I have the lens of, I'm a psychotherapist. I know how to understand the world of feelings, emotions, and that energy. That combined I do have a real understanding of it, and I've lived it. And essentially what I was doing is I was journaling, and it was feeling like a whole lot of nothing. And I, in the middle of a journaling session, had a moment. You can call it a spiritual awakening. You can call it a moment of clarity. You can call it my higher self, my inner child. You can call it whatever you want. But there was a thought that went into my mind, and it was, you're lying. And of course I wasn't lying, because I was journaling about like the things that were going on in my life. I was a young mother. I was really tired. I was really, overwhelmed. And it was true. But the voice was like, this is not the stuff that is causing your brain to think you're going to die because you're tired. Like you're going to die because you have 2 kids. Who doesn't have 2 kids? Like it was a very shaming voice, but it was also a voice that changed the rest of my life, because what I realized in that moment is this is not about playing our tapes. You have to start there. You start like a court reporter when you're doing your JournalSpeak practice. And like I said, I have all sorts of ways to teach this to you, but when you just write about what's going on. But as you are invited to say the deeper, sometimes darker, unabashed voice of the inner child, the voice of that kid who wants the cookie before dinner, and they are going to tell it all to you. They're going to say, I hate you. You're the worst mommy. I hate my life. As dark and as extreme as it gets, there is that voice in every one of us about everything. That voice that says, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. That voice that says, I'm not raising these kids. I'm getting in my car and driving away and never coming back. That voice that says, I can't survive this, or I am in so much grief. I'm drowning. I can't breathe. These are voices we don't feel safe with, because they are connected to perceived meaning that our lives are then going to need to change, right? If I feel how much I hate my husband, I'm going to need to leave him. If I feel how much I hate being a parent, what am I going to do? These are my kids. I'm stuck with them for the rest of my life. Like, dark feelings need a voice. They need a venting place. They do not stay true. Your darkest, most painful, most unwelcome thoughts that arise during your JournalSpeak are the doorways through which all healing resides. It is amazing the transformations I've seen in myself. Forget physical. The pain is the biggest, littlest part. The pain goes. I had my first real, explosive JournalSpeak, and the next morning I woke up and I was about 80% pain-free, and I never, ever received that pain back. I realized what I needed to do. I applied this JournalSpeak lens through all of the different things going on in my life within a few months, and there is no timeline, but just my story is within a few months, I was completely chronic pain-free. I've never had a back problem since. It's been 25 years, and I had the 3 babies, and I exercised till the day of the board. I have a very severe abnormality on film that was never the reason for my pain, and I have hundreds of thousands of people that walk beside me. So please take your skepticism, at least give it that spoonful. But having said that, what JournalSpeak does is it says the dark thing that your brain thinks is unsurvivable. And once it's said, and for me, that real pivotal moment was, I'm not tired. It's not overwhelming. It is, but I hate this. I hate my kids. I hate being a mother. I'm trapped. I've done this, and now I'm never getting out of it. And it was the darkest, most awful thought. And the moment I said it, it was like a video game. Like, I want you to literally picture you're into the next world, right? And I was like, whoosh, all this was available to me. And I was
cheat
like,
code. You got the cheat code.
Exactly. You get the hack, right? Yeah. And now you're like, I was like, wait a second. It was honestly, I love being surprised. I'm a person who does all the research. I'm a person who really I see myself as an A student in a lot of ways. I love it when I don't know. I love it when something comes up and surprises me. And this moment was like, what? I was like, wait a second. That's not true either. I don't hate this. I don't hate my children. What's going on? And then it's like you're in a choose your own adventure book. I'm writing and I'm like, is it my parents? All right, F them, right? And so I'm going off on my parents, saying all the unimaginable things you could say. And then I got to the end of that. And that was another world, another doorway. And I was like, no, that doesn't feel, now it's evolving. We evolve. And what I came to, which is just my personal story, is that when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I made a very sacred, sweet, and quiet promise to myself. I was in a lot of pain. I was very lonely. And I said, one day I'm going to be a mother, and I am going to be the perfect mother. And I am going to have these amazing children, and they are going to look to me because I'm going to be so loving, and I'm going to heal the pain of this little girl alone in her bed. I had no idea that was in there. And when I figured that out, I was like, well, of course you hate it. Of course you feel like a failure. No parenting is ever going to go back and do that specifically. And certainly 2 freaking toddlers are not the recipe for peace and, fulfillment.
Right.
And the moment of compassion for myself and for the fact that thought, that need had been in there, totally repressed, set me free. It set me free to love them. I mean, as Andrea said, I have these 3 kids. I don't know what it would have been like, but I'll tell you one thing. I did not parent them through the lens of my dysfunction. I did not parent them through the lens of me needing them to be a certain thing, to fulfill something in me, which I probably would have unconsciously. And I didn't put that on them. And they are, one's going to be 23, it just turned 21, and one is 17. And they are like my best, my people. We get each other. I love them. We laugh till we cry. And they're pain in the ass, just like everybody's kids. But what I'm saying
just
is
like all of us.
It's available. So the pain was the entry point. The pain was the invitation. But the life you get, every person that I interview on my podcast, every single one, and I have hundreds of episodes since 2018. So feel free to take a listen. They start with their pain story, but what they come to often is tearful gratitude for the pain, because it opened them to a life beyond their wildest dreams, fulfilled, connected, present, sometimes angry, sometimes out of control, but honest with that, honest with the people in their lives, relationships. I mean, it's insane. And that's the life I've led.
Well, amen, sister. And just to really underscore the point, this whole business of the pain not being the defect, but the signal to freedom, and freedom to be joyful, freedom to be honest, freedom to be real. I mean, all those things that you describe, I mean, hallelujah. So, okay, we've got just a few more minutes before we got to wrap up. So when it comes to JournalSpeak, you prescribe a 20-minute session every day. Is that right?
So yes. So one of the things I really want people to understand is this is not a life sentence. I'm 53. I have no chronic issues, and I don't JournalSpeak unless I need to. So it's like any other tool in your toolkit, right? So let's say you wanted to get in shape and you wanted to lose weight, right? So you go to a nutritionist and they're like, here's the plan. At the beginning, you got to do it consistently. At the beginning, if you want, a change that you see in your physical body, you can't just go to the gym and watch people work out, right? It's like you said, it's not a theory. You have to do it. You have to live it. That is the way that you can see change in your own system, because your nervous system doesn't care what anybody else is doing. It only perceives your own safety. So at the beginning, I prescribe a daily, not paranoid daily. I've got all my community questions in my head all the time. Don't feel like it's the end of the world if you miss a day. But in general, a consistent daily JournalSpeak practice where you understand exactly how to JournalSpeak. You really educate yourself on it so you know that you're doing it, quote, right. 20 minutes of JournalSpeak, you destroy it. It is like blowing your nose in a tissue. You're getting it out. It doesn't stay true. Sometimes it's a whole lot of blah, blah, blah BS. You need to you vent it out. You throw it out. I like to type, so I just type it into an untitled document and then I hit the X. It says, do you want to save? No, delete. Not in the cloud, not anywhere. This is a total brain dump, heart dump, and mind dump. Nobody should ever read it. If you come to epiphany during your JournalSpeak, like a sentence, you're like, whoa, copy it and put it in your notes app. I'm not saying you can throw out the baby with the bathwater, but for the most part, you finish it, you select all, you delete, you rip it up into a garbage can, and then you sit for 10 minutes in any kind of self-affirming meditation. It could be a walking meditation with your face in the sun. It could be you get into the hot bath and you breathe and you close your eyes. It could be a formal meditation, a guided meditation, a silent meditation, singing bowls. I don't care. The point is, you sometimes need to say really hard things, and the 10 minutes of meditation is the bridge from your JournalSpeak to the rest of your life. So it's a 30-minute practice. You have 30 minutes. I promise you, you scroll on Instagram, you watch TV, you know, whatever the hell you're doing, we all have 30 minutes.
Sit around and complain.
Complain to your
Gossip.
JournalSpeak. Do it where it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And you will experience resistance. This is why there's a whole chapter in the book on resistance. Your resistance to your JournalSpeak is just like a headache. It is your nervous system whispering in your ear in a voice you trust because it's your own voice saying, you don't need to do that. You're too tired. You have better things to do. It's probably stupid anyway, because it doesn't want you to look at the predator. It is your job. It is your privilege to say, I will look. It's my life. It's worth it to me. And I will look. No matter what it looks like, I can survive this. It will not kill me. It is an imperative for you to be brave and strong and determined, because your nervous system will try to divert you into other things. Let's just have a snack. Let's go do this. Let's, no more. Like, there is an energy of no more that you have to kind of gather. And then, yes, consistency is key. The ladle, I want you to picture that ladle going into the reservoir and dumping it out every time you do a session. And then, this is really important, you will start to notice a difference in your symptoms. It will be something, and it might be brief, but then remember, we are rewriting our neural pathways. We are evolving in real time, and that requires that you believe it. So I don't want you to say, oh, it must have been that epidural shot I had 3 weeks ago. No, you're doing something different, and you just noticed a difference in your pain. You just woke up and you turned to get something and your neck didn't kill. Note it. What fires together, wires together. We need to be responsible for our own transformation. So you see it happening, and your responsibility is to believe it, to note it, to get a little like, ooh, that was good. And then just to move on. We don't attach to outcomes. We don't make this fear-driven. We just note, connect, move on, do the practice. Note, connect, move on, do the practice. And if you're feeling alone, come and join my community. If you feel like you need more information, there's the book, there's the website. Just do what you need, but be in that belief, that leg of the stool, because you have the power to change your life in ways that are going to blow your mind.
Amen. That's why you're here, Nicole. I love it. I love it so much. I am so enormously grateful to you, your passion, your courage. As a mom, the work you're doing and what you shared, it means that much more. And again, the timing for me and my son is uncanny. So thank you, extra thank you. So a few things I just want to summarize before we wrap up. I love how you say the pain is not in your head, but the solution is not in your body. Guys, it's a simple, but I would say not easy, because you do need to be consistent, and it is going to require change, because change means change. Change means doing things differently. 3 steps: believe, do the work, kindness and patience and compassion with yourself. The thing I even want to add is, as a type AAA, former New Yorker, a lot like you, Nicole, being gentle with myself has been a difference. And that didn't come easy. But that, just even the word gentle, I'm like, oh, that feels good.
I know.
I deserve it. And I'm more gentle with my kids. Right? I mean, what we do for ourselves, especially as parents, and everybody we touch, but especially our kids, is dramatic. I love how you talk about we all have so much more power than we realize. It's true. You have more power than you realize. That's the good news. And this just really reinterpreting the pain signal, and whether it's a pain, an emotional pain, a physical pain, it often is a signal. And not necessarily a defect. It is a signal to go within and and make the change that you need to free yourself. Did I miss anything?
Also,
yeah.
I mean, I just want to say, because you said that thing about, if it's emotional, if it's physical, I have watched people completely resolve OCD, panic disorders, chronic anxiety, like depression. This is not just about back pain or headaches. This is anything that is consistently stopping you and causing discomfort is likely a result of a dysregulated nervous system sending these signals to keep you safe. So just be open, and you will see the possibilities unfold for you.
Amen. Okay, guys, to go deeper alongside Nicole's chronic pain warriors and see what this work could do in your life, explore her courses and membership communities at Your Break Awake, and we're going to pop it onto the screen.
I think the easiest way, yourbreakawake.com is our brand, but the easiest way to find me that people will remember is just NicoleSachs.com. You can go to, because all roads lead to it. TheCureForChronicPain.com will go there. NicoleSachs.com will go there, as will Your Break Awake, which is the reason we created Your Break Awake is because, quite frankly, for all the people who are out of pain that were like, it's not about pain anymore. My entire life, it's like, what's next? Like sometimes you have to break down to wake up. Sometimes you have to break free from old paradigms to wake up to what's next for you. So we created Break Awake, but it's really umbrella under which all of this lives. And you can find it at NicoleSachs.com, and it links to all of my stuff, my community, my podcast, everything.
Amen. Nicole, you're a gift. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I hope you love that as much as I did. And I mean, this is all happening in real time. So for me to jump in and be like, oh my God, this is what's happening in my family with my child. It is real. I am putting all of these things into practice, and yay, lucky me. And by the way, I believe you create your own luck, that I created the synchronicity to get the insight I needed today to help my son. And that's what is powerful with the power of manifestation and doing the work. I can't tell you how much time I spend doing all of these things, the journaling, like specifically going deep into the journaling. I mean, getting into those really painful, ugly truths, facing them, along with the meditation, along with all of these things that I'm urging you guys to do. So when I keep harping on, it's not theory, it's practice. I'm doing it myself, and I so want you to have this beautiful, brilliant life. I can't say it strongly enough. That's why I'm here. That's why my entire team and all these incredible master speakers and thought leaders are here pulling this material together for you. Okay, last quick thing on that note. Oh my gosh, I am so on fire for our Power of Manifestation Circle. This is a membership that is like nothing else. And honestly, it's a good segue from the conversation we had with Nicole, talking about things like when you hear other people talking about the steps they took to heal from within, things like their chronic pain, their chronic conditions, and so forth, it becomes real fast. And that is why my team and I have developed the Power of Manifestation Circle, because these kinds of stories of healing and growth and transformation and epic manifestations, and yeah, sometimes when we're stuck, because it does happen, it's not necessarily all linear or parabolic, and it can be, right? It can be that big quantum leap. It can be jumping timelines. When someone else is jumping timelines, snap, that's for you, right? Are you tracking? I hope you are. So sincerely, consider joining us in the Power of Manifestation Circle. I am so on fire for it, for all the reasons that I've described. My life has transformed through doing all this work, and I always love the opportunity to share it, and then the opportunity to learn from you and other people what's working from them, together, collectively experiencing this kind of freedom and transformation. So check us out at thepowerofmanifestation.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Mwah.